good evening, folks, here on Warrior Television as we see this home opener for the 6th-ranked Westside Warriors. This volleyball team is going up against the Bellevue East Chieftains here on this Tuesday night. My name is Jaden Taylor. Alongside me this afternoon is going to be Tallie, Pease, and what a game we have here.
Well, you know, this game comes following the big Bellevue West tournament that happens every year. Westside managed to make it to the championship bracket this year, which is not something they've done for quite a while, I think over 2 decades. And Bell East, this is their first game of the season, so we've got a lot of new things to see this tonight.
Yeah, I mean, looking overall at both these teams, there's a lot of new for this Westside team overall. Welcome here to the KB pregame show as we get you guys inside all the action for this game. And really just for these matches for this year for the Warriors. I mean, this is a new team. This is an exciting team that we're going to see here this season. Looking at last year and how this team progressed from a year ago, I mean, last year this team was 15-17. And for a team like this, it was honestly a good year.
Right. Well, last year they just had so many girls that were so young and didn't have much experience on a high school volleyball court. I mean, a majority of their starters were underclassmen last year, and probably one of their biggest leaders, Madeline Siebler, was a junior. And this year, you know, everybody's grown up. Most of the starters this year are juniors. We've got, you know, Destiny Nadam Simpson, Sam Laird, Kenzie Tacroni.
And looking at that, I mean, overall, I mean, you look at the team, the way this team has been set up from last year. I mean, overall, they had 8 underclassmen last year, and this team was so young and really learning. I mean, talking to head coach Corinne Bauer, she really talked about how much maturity this team had, but how much this maturity this team needed to mature overall as a team. But looking at this year overall, I mean, they have 4 seniors. You have one of the biggest leaders in this team in Madeline Siebler, who has been really taking over the leadership role for this team. Another girl to talk about seniors-wise is Anna Snodgrass, how she's been able to be one of those team captains and really take charge when others might not. But again, a really young team, a lot of juniors, a lot of sophomores. But then they add 2 more once again. Started off with Destiny Nadam Simpson. What an add for the Warriors this season. Coming from Bellevue West, a lot of back and forth at Bellevue West. 2 or 3 people transferred from this past year, but Bellevue West was a state tournament team, and it was for a lot due to the fact of Destiny.
Right, of course, she's one of the top kill leaders in the state, and she really killed it in the off season, in the club season. She tried for a national title, and she plays for Nebraska Elite, which a lot of the high school volleyball girls do play for. And Nebraska Elite has some of the best club teams in the country, so they always go pretty far. So Destiny has made a really, really great addition to this team. I know she transferred starting the 2nd semester last year, and right off the bat, she became friends with the team. She became one with the team, and they've got a lot of really great chemistry so far.
And although injured, they also added a Millard South transfer, Audrey Behrens. And Audrey, although not able to play for really the majority of this season, has really been one, again, that kind of adds to that leadership. Right.
Well, Corinne herself said that having Audrey on her side has really, really helped in coaching Madeline to the setter spot. Audrey's been a setter pretty much all of her life. She's got tons of experience, and although she can't play right now, she's been really a huge help to Madeline with, you know, being new to the setter position, especially for a team with this killer offense. That setter position is so important in running that.
And that's been such a big transition for Madeline overall. I mean, looking at last year, you grabbed 3 people now on this team, number 3, number 4, and number 5, the kill leaders in 2020, all on one team. But really seeing the weakness coming into this year was the setter position. Who could fill that role? And without Audrey, it was kind of up to who could do the best job overall. And Madeline, especially as a leader, she really took on that role.
Right. Well, Madeline kind of jumped on it this summer and contacted Corinne about who would jump into the spot. And Madeline had played some of the setter position in her past club season, so she was kind of an obvious choice. Other setters on the team, Lucy Lowe, she's a freshman. She showed up for this team this summer and really worked hard and made herself a starting position. Another setter on the team, Carly Hanna, she's a senior this year. She's had a lot of experience within the program, and she'll have to fight for a starting position. But they've got some setting experience.
And overall, I mean, it's kind of that depth that this team has. We talked about how young the team was last year, and really the depth that this junior class has for volleyball, although honestly it doesn't have a lot of that for a lot of the other sports here at Westside. It's really something to be remarkable about, especially for this team. So overall, going into this year, Westside was ranked 5th overall in the state, 4th overall in Class A. This is the highest preseason ranking Westside has ever had.
Yeah, well, it's got to be due to the juniors. They really, really worked over the summer. They worked really hard last year. And I think they're all ready to get back into the swing of things and start off a winning record.
So, I mean, overall with that, I mean, you look at the standings going into this week after somewhat of a lackluster past weekend, especially by this team's standards of what they want to do. Westside dropped down to the 6th spot in Class A. But with this past weekend, they start off on Thursday up against Omaha North. They're able to take them down easily in a quick couple sets. But then going into that Bellevue West tournament, I mean, it's one of the biggest tournaments that you're going to see, not just to start off the year, but the entire year in general. You have 5 different top 10 teams that all got into the championship bracket. And of course, Westside is a new team to kind of being that upper echelon of teams. And it was kind of an adjustment for them to be able to really see where they're at.
Right. Well, a big focus for them going into the tournament was the big gym. Everybody wants to make it to the big gym, to the championship bracket, and compete against those other top 10 teams. So starting Friday night, they had a little bit of a rough start against Platte County out of Missouri. Lost that game in 2 sets, but they did not give up the fight, and they came back the next game against Duchesne and swept that game with a huge offensive standing. And their 3rd game that night was a little bit of a struggle with the first set against Papio, but they managed to come back for the next 2 sets and take that game too, which put them in the number 2 seed for their pool, which put them into the championship bracket.
Yeah, which is amazing for them, and especially going into that tournament, even though this team overall is confident as can be, their biggest goal for that first night was just get onto day 2, get onto that big gym like you were saying. And I think the biggest thing that represented how well they were able to do that is that win up against Papio. Talking to the athletic director, Tom Kirkman, this Westside team has not beaten Papio in over 30 years. Not once has beaten the team of Papio La Vista in over 30 years. And being able to have that such a close game that was, especially a Papio team that is not scarce this year. They're a top 4 team. They're a team that is easily going to vie for a state title this year. There's so much top-heavy teams, but there's so many of them in Class A this year.
Mm-hmm. Right, well, and that brings us into their Saturday play. I mean, they started off Saturday playing against Scott Catholic, which won the Class B state championship last year. They're a top team in the country right now. They've got loads of talent, so that game was not going to be easy for them.
So overall with this team, I mean, we saw a lot of them this past weekend. You and I were both there kind of looking over how this team is doing, looking how this team could grow. And I think the one thing that we saw, other than somewhat of a lack in the setter position, was really a lack defensively.
Yeah. Well, I think that this early in the season, a lot of what you focus on is team bonding and getting that hitter-setter connection. Defense generally comes after the first couple weeks of the season just to see where you're at. But Jocelyn Healy, I mean, she's a junior. She's the libero. She's one of the team captains this year. And she really puts it all out on the court. She's really got that calming presence that can bring the team down when they're struggling. And I think they're really, really going to take advantage of her this year, especially. So
overall with this, kind of going into that chemistry that this team has, I mean, there's a lot of new people. There's a lot of new aspects. There's a lot of new roles for a lot of these people on this team, especially with Madeline having to work somewhat of a setter position as well as work on a right side. We'll get more into that in a little bit. But how do you feel this team has really worked with that chemistry?
I think that especially Destiny and Audrey, they both transferred in second semester last year, and immediately they hit it off with the team and started hanging out and spending time together, and that started the chemistry right away. And so despite the young team, they've all played together for a really long time. There was going to be some mix-ups, what with the new positioning with Madeline, and everybody assumed that Audrey was going to set for the team going into this season, but that injury to her ACL took her right out. And so it's been a lot of work, but I think that the team has really been able to stick it together. And they're going to work through it together no matter what happens.
So we'll take a quick break here on the KB pregame show. We're about 8.5 minutes to start time here at Westside. The 6th-ranked Westside Warriors are going against the Bellevue East Chieftains. here on the KB pregame show. Just under a minute away from the start of this one. I'm Jaden Taylor alongside me tonight, Tallie, Pease. And looking at the starting lineup for Westside here tonight, they're going to start it off at the middle blocker position with Isabella Lamb. Starting off with at the center position is going to be Madeline Siebler. Then on the outside hitter position will be Destiny Nadam Simpson. At the middle blocker position up next will be Kenzie Tekrani. Another center position, as well as possible defensive specialist, will be Lucy Lowe. Another outside hitter will be Samantha Laird. So looking at this team overall, I mean, they've had to work now as 6-2. Entirely different setup from what they saw last year. How can they adjust and how can they get comfortable with this position?
Well, they ran a 5-1 over the weekend this weekend. I don't know if that's because Madeline was really, really working the center position or because neither of the other two setters were really on. But I think that they can work the 6-2 pretty well, especially because when Madeline rotates into the front row, she'll become a right side hitter. So you've got pin hitters in Madeline Siebler and Destiny Nadam Simpson. And then you've got Kenzie Tekroni in the middle, and that's pretty much an unstoppable offense right up there.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing we talked about just going into this game, going into the season overall. There's so much hitting talent, there's so much offensive talent, but the thing that might not quite compensate for it is the defensive ability.
Mm-hmm. Well, libero Jocelyn Healy, she's really going to put her best effort out there every game. But it takes more than just one player. They're really going to have to put up a good block. They're really going to have to fill those spots on the court defensively and not let Bellie's find those holes. They've really just got to cover what they can.
So kind of going into that, we're going to look here now at our Viking Industrial Painting keys to the game. What are the biggest keys for these Westside Warriors?
Well, it all starts with clean serve receive. I can honestly tell you that serve receive is something that they practice every day, but you really never know what kind of serves you'll see in a game. Serve receive is the first thing that you have to focus on because it's the only way that you're going to be able to set up your offense correctly. So they've really, really got to focus on getting that first pass up to the setter.
So we'll take a quick break here on the KB pregame show, just moments away from the start of this one.
Thank you for your cooperation and good luck to both teams. At this time, we'd ask you to please rise from your cover as we
back here to start off this one. Westside, 6th-ranked team in Class A, going up against Bellevue East. Bellevue East, their first game of the season. They did play a jamboree match up against Gross just about a week and a half ago, but definitely some rust that could possibly be seeing here in this first set.
Right, well, you know, this Westside team, they're really ready to go tonight. Their goal tonight is to keep Bell East under 10 in 3 straight sets, and they seem determined to go for it.
So a big thing here to start it off, Westside will be working the 6-2. We saw that last Thursday night up against Omaha North. Coach Corinne Bowers thought to maybe change it up and see what would be most comfortable for this team on that Friday and Saturday in the Bellevue West tournament. Going to be a big one here. Jocelyn Healy will serve first for the Warriors.
Jocelyn's got a killer serve to start. I mean, she has, I don't know how many aces from this past tournament, but I know she's got a few.
25 aces last year in 2020, and we'll start the home opener here. Set from low, outside of Destiny Dom Simpson, and with the kill to start it off. And Dom Simpson starts off where she left off this past weekend. It's the first point of the day for the Warriors.
Well, and there's just a glimpse of that killer offense that we talked about earlier. They got right in there and got it set up.
Low outside this time to Siebler. Another kill goes in, back-to-back kills to the right side and outside hitters for the Warriors, and it's 2-0 early.
So these first 2 points already, we've seen a glimpse of how dangerous having Siebler and Nadam Simpson in the front row together is going to be for this Bell East team.
Tip will go out. The point will go to the Warriors. Bellevue East coach not happy with that. Thought there might have been a tip at the net. I think Madeline Siebler knew it too. But nonetheless, Westside leading 3-0 here early. Healy on a run.
There's a missed serve there. Pretty uncommon for Healy, but for the Westside team, this is just a chance for them to work on that serve receive and get the ball back right away.
Especially with a team like Bellevue East that really struggled last season and really is not bringing back a ton of talent from last season. This might be a tune-up game to really see how Siebler, how low, how comfortable they can get. Set from low to the middle, Tekrani with the tip. Will stay in. The pin hitters for the Warriors have been doing damage here early.
Now veteran Madeline Siebler has got the serve. She's been a starter on this team since her freshman year, and this year she's really taking on a bigger leadership position in the setter position. You know, the setter is the QB of volleyball, essentially.
Bellevue East definitely needed points here. Siebler with a set over the middle of the Tekrani, almost with another kill. She'll get one, back-to-back kills for Kensington Tekrani. And the Warriors just keep rolling here early. Siebler last season had 20 aces. And really this overall team as a whole was pretty even comparatively serve-wise.
Well, I mean, you see it there. That missed serve is really just a result of an attempted aggressive serving. You know, that's been a huge theme for Corinne is you serve aggressively. Even if it doesn't go over the net, you keep serving aggressively.
This one stays in from Destiny. Oh. Excuse me there. Line judge on the outside called that one out. Point will go to Bellevue East. Definitely looked up from up here like that one was in. Hard one there for Nadam Simpson. Samantha Lair puts it into the net, and Bellevue East is making this one interesting.
Well, there's another of our keys to success for today. You know, they had a lot of errors this past weekend, and a huge focus for them tonight is just going to be eliminating those unnecessary errors.
Good reception there from Nadam Simpson, and an easy kill for Tekrani, her third of the night.
Now serve. Number 15, Tom Simpson.
Simpson with a long serve. Little tip. Warriors keep it alive. Samantha Leder will have to back up, bring it across the middle. That will go to the outside to goalie, and she puts it too long. And Westside adds to their slight lead here in the first. We saw a big run to start off this one. We thought Westside would possibly run away, but Bellevue East at least keeping this one interesting.
And there's an ace serve, your first of the night for Destiny.
And a big defensive miscue that we talked about so much for both these teams from Christina Caroza. And Simpson will serve once again. Another short serve, third of the night for the Warriors. That's really been an issue. I mean, we talked about so much of really the Warriors not quite beating themselves, but just not giving themselves the best of opportunities to win. Scott with the serve into the net, so back-to-back serves into the net. And we knew Bell East might come into this one a little sloppy. The Warriors have been doing so as well.
And here goes Anna Snodgrass back to serve. And Anna, you know, she's one of the team captains. She transferred back to Westside in her sophomore year, but she's really been a crucial part of the team this year.
Good long serve. Defensively going to have to adjust for Bell East. Just barely able to get it over, and Snodgrass with a dig. Tekrani with the kill, and it goes out. Check that, Nadam Simpson, long kill there.
Well, and that was actually counted as a back row attack. When you've got a hitter in the back row, they can hit the ball as much as they want. They just can't step over that 10-foot line, and her foot was definitely on the line there, so I can understand why they called that.
Reamer with the ace for Bellevue East, and the Chieftains continue to stay really close to the Warriors here in this first set.
Well, like we said earlier, their goal going into this game was to keep them under 10, so they've really got to get the serve back here.
Big kill from Samantha Laird, able to open up the gap in the middle of Bellevue East's defense. And a loud bang for the Warriors there, exactly what they needed. And we talked about so much that hit to the center connection, how smooth that was for Samantha Laird, able to go up and grab that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, Samantha's a really amazing hitter anyways, and I think Samantha and Madeline have always communicated really well, so that's just an ideal pairing.
Long set, and another miscue for the Chieftains. The Warriors add one more.
These long runs that Westside is tending towards tonight, you know, this is one of the things that they struggled against in some of their opponents over the weekend, is really coming back after those long runs and digging themselves out of a hole.
Now serving number 11, Tallie.
Long tip from Siebler. East will keep it in. Long kill attempt, no good. Isabella Lamb will bring up the set to Samantha Laird, and that kill is blocked, but it'll go out of bounds.
You can tell that Bell East is really putting in an effort defensively, especially against this killer offense of the Warriors team. But it's not really going to do much good if the Warriors can put in that chemistry that they've talked about all season.
Another tip stays alive for the Warriors. Siebler with the kill attempt, and defensively Bellevue East will stay alive. Siebler with another kill down to the right side, and it's her second of the day.
Having that other option up at the net in Siebler is really, really important for this team. In that pass play, Jocelyn Healy was facing towards the right side pin, so having Siebler there, somebody who she knows can put down a kill, is really, really crucial.
Easy kill for Nadam Simpson. Wound up on that one. And Bellevue East will take their first time out of the set. Westside rolling in this one. We'll take a minute here on WTV Live. When we're back, Warriors trying to continue this first set dominance. 14-8 here in set 1 in favor of the Warriors. And Samantha Laird will serve. And another ace for the Warriors. Laird making that one look easy. And the lead is slowly growing for Westside.
There's a second ace. That's 2 in a row now. And you can see how pumped up this team is just by the girls on the sideline. I mean, they're celebrating. They're standing up on every point. They're into it.
Laird last year was 3rd on the team with 22 aces. And almost one there. And they'll give it to Westside over the net for the Chieftains. Check that again. It'll go against Westside. Looks like Isabella Lamb might have ran into the net up front. So Bellevue East will try to stop the momentum.
Actually, Lamb, I think, reached over the top of the net, which that's a little bit of a debatable point there, but it's going to stand.
A long serve, and Bellevue East unable to capitalize on that miscue. Jocelyn Healy moved back around in the rotation to serve. Of course, in high school athletics, for regular season matches, 3 out of 5 sets. The Warriors 25 for the first four sets. If it goes to the 5th, it'll be 15. And Kensington Tekrani gets herself another easy kill. Her 5th of the night.
A huge ability for this Westside team is being able to switch it up. You know, Kenzie's not always aiming for the same corner. Madeline's not always hitting it down the line. Their ability to switch it up like that is what keeps other teams on their toes.
Another ace for Healy. Overall, the serving game for the Warriors has been superb. And Westside has really grown this lead after Bellevue East early on. Try to make it a little more sustainable. Just past the arms of Lucy Lowe. And Orange Smith able to get a kill there.
That's a little bit of the defense that we talked about. That cross-court shot is pretty hard to defend over there, especially from the setter. But she's really got to do a better job of rounding the ball and getting in front of that.
And talk about Lucy overall. I mean, she's the only freshman on this varsity team. Is there any nerves or any kind of not known situations for her, especially with how big of a role she's had to have in her first year?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of intimidation, especially considering the amount of upperclassmen who really dominate this team. But, you know, it's her role. She's got the starting setter position, so she really has to let go of those fears and let go of those worries and put up for this team.
Another big blocking kill there for Destiny Adam Simpson. And we talk about that as well, this chemistry that this team has. You just saw Corinne Bowers there looking over to Lucy, kind of seeing what happened there and working on what can be done next. Healy gives it up to Tatum Godinez, and she's able to get her first kill of the night. Don't always see her too often, but especially when she comes around in the rotation, she can be a big factor.
Well, Tatum Godinez got a lot of starting time in the right side position last year. You know, that spot was kind of a question mark going into the season last year, and Tatum pulled through along with Eleanor Brislin later in the season. Unfortunately, Eleanor is injured right now and can't play, but Tatum has really grown into this role, and she played really, really well over the weekend.
Yeah, so thinking of that kind of how Eleanor is out, looking at how Audrey is out, I think it really speaks to the depth of this team, especially when you have what you think is your biggest starter. A lot of times you'll have different people, including upperclassmen, who are right behind them and able to be ready.
Right, well, something that Corinne is really, really big on is competition on the bench. You know, she really wants that depth in her team. She wants her team to compete for a starting spot. And there's a lot of that going on this team. They've got, you know, Anna Snodgrass, who is serving right now, but she's really good in the outside position too. You've got a ton of depth in the center position, ton of depth in like a defensive position. And you know, we may only see the starters on the court right now, but Corinna's got a lot of talent on her team.
And that's going to be a big thing for this year, especially when you're going up against those top 10, the top echelon of teams in Class A. Not a lot of people think, especially in the Midwest, how much of a volleyball state this is.
Well, when you've got the University of Nebraska, who's a 5-time national champion, it's bound to be a big thing for college girls and high school girls in the state of Nebraska. You know, they want to go play at UNL. They want to make a national championship, so they're going to work hard here. That's why Nebraska Elite Club Volleyball is such a big club team, and why you see a lot of powerhouse high school teams in this state.
And a big example of that, a girl who really achieved her dreams going to UNL, Lindsey Krause from last year, how well she did with Scott, and really how well Scott's been doing even this year as well.
Right, well, Nebraska has got so much depth on their starting lineup this year, and a lot of their players come straight from, you know, the home state of Nebraska. Jordan Larson, she was a national champion member of the Nebraska team, and she went on to become an Olympian and, you know, a international champion in the professional volleyball league. But she's from, I believe, Hastings, Nebraska. So that's just an example of a homegrown Nebraska volleyball player.
So Bellevue East able to get a quick kill there, trying to keep themselves alive here in this first set. The Westside looking to end the damage here. A long kill goes out from Tikrani, her first mistake of the day. We'll see if Bellevue East is too far in a hole or if they can find themselves climbing back out of it. Great set from Siebler. Easy kill for Kensington Tikrani. And once again, that hitter-setter connection does wonders. And Tikrani able to really be set up with a no-doubt kill.
Well, Tikrani is lethal getting that slide set, coming from behind the setter to hit kind of at a right side angle, and she really can put the ball down that way.
Anna Snodgrass in to serve here, trying to end this one here in the first set. And an easy ace for Anna Snodgrass, and Westside takes the first set 25-13. Big factors in that one, Tikrani, Siebler, and Adam Simpson. We'll take a quick break here on WTV Live, and when we come back, second set action, Warriors looking to continue their momentum. Second set of action here at Westside High School. The Warriors able to take down Bellevue East in the first set, 25-13. And I think the biggest advantage that we saw there was the biggest thing we talked about coming to this game, that hitter-setter connection.
Right, well, Madeline has got such a deep root in this team so far, and I'm not surprised at her ability to connect with all of these hitters. I think a big key for this Belle East team, especially in the second set, if they really want to stay alive, is getting out of the rotations, getting out of those tough rotations. You know, you've got a full rotation where Madeline, Kenzie, and Destiny are all up front. So that's 3 big blockers, 3 big hitters all in the front row, and that's going to be really, really hard to beat.
So overall, when we talk about that, how do you feel this team is mixed the amount of offensive power that they have? Because they can only have really so many that are involved in one single play. How do you feel they've mixed that and being able to give something off when they can?
Well, I think their communication has really amped up from this weekend. You know, you've seen Destiny take it from the back row a couple times. You've seen Sam take it from the back row. And then you've seen a ton of work up front. You know, KT pulled out that slide a couple of plays ago, and Madeline has been huge at the net. They've really just been able to spread that ball around. It depends on, you know, how the defense can set up the play, but for the most part, the setter has whatever option she wants.
And that's a great thing, I think, for this team as well. I mean, it allows for so many options. It's not as predictable as kind of what we saw for Bellevue West last year when it was just Destiny the whole time.
Well, and not only is it unpredictable with which player is going to take the ball, but it's also unpredictable in where they're going to place the ball. I mean, we've seen a couple tips here tonight. Sam Laird pulled out a roll shot. Those placements, those different placements on the court really, really make a difference in how the defense reacts.
And talk about tip there. Madeline Siebler able to do what she does best to start it off with. It's her 3rd kill of the night, and Westside scores first here in the second set. Healy into serve once again. And she makes a big dig, excuse me. But Bellevue East will get the point.
That's Kenzie Tucroni in the net. That's not a mistake you see very often with varsity high school teams, but it does happen occasionally, and especially with someone who's always up there for the block, you know, sometimes it's inevitable.
Tucroni with the long tip. And tipping back and forth, and beautiful one right there by Riley Craig.
Well, that's exactly the spot that you want to hit with those, that deep, deep corner. Always on a tip, you either want to go the donut, the hole in the middle, or a deep corner because they're really going to have trouble defending those spots.
Beautiful block there from Tucroni. Simpson, Bellevue is able to keep this volley alive. What a one it has been. And a beautiful kill once again for Tucroni, able to finish that one there. We're talking about the volley on both ends.
Well, you saw that attempted block from the right side and the middle for Westside, and you know that block is something they've really, really put a lot of work in on the off season, and I'm sure they were hoping to put it down, but the end to that volley, you know, you couldn't ask for anything better than a kill.
Simpson able to dig that one. Tatum Godinez with the kill. That one's tipped very much up high, moving around the rafters, and they'll give the point to Westside.
The ref called that a double touch there. Double touches are pretty easy to tell based on the spin of the ball as it comes out of the setter's hands.
Especially with the ball so high in the rafters here. I mean, it's a comparatively small gym than what you'll see at a place like Bellevue West or Papio South. And it can redirect a lot of different high up balls.
Well, and that ball off the rafters is playable as long as it doesn't cross the paint of the net. If it had crossed the paint of the net, that would have been Westside's point automatically. But as long as they can play it and get a decent touch off of the ceiling, then they can do what they want with that ball.
Another missed reception there for Bellevue East. They're trying to readjust, and a long kill attempt from Lily. Goalie goes out of bounds, and Siebler, serving-wise, is looking to be somewhat on a run here.
like I mentioned earlier, runs are a huge problem that the Warriors face this weekend. You know, big teams like Scott and Waverly and Millard South were able to go on super, super long serving runs that Westside just could not get out of. And it digs a hole that's really, really tough to come back from.
That's why I think as well, I mean, how big momentum is in this sport overall. I mean, just it's such an emotional game when you get into it because you can go from the highest to highs to the lowest to lows. And I think it's something you can say a lot about a lot of other sports, but it really doesn't happen as quickly as it does in volleyball.
Right, well, the biggest goal here, especially in the sport of volleyball, is to keep the serve for as long as you can. And then as soon as you lose the serve, take 1 or 2 points maximum and get the serve back.
So Daniela Goligan will come in to serve her first appearance of the night. Again, a big defensive specialist for this team. And although she doesn't have as much of the offensive power, she's been a factor for this team that's been needed, especially with a defensive, I won't want to say lackluster team, but a team that definitely is not among the best in the state.
Mm-hmm. Well, Daniela has really got to compete for her spot on the court this year, especially with, you know, such a huge player in Jocelyn Healy, and not a lot of need for a defensive specialist with outsides Sam Laird and Destiny Nadam-Simpson. Both of them really kill it defensively, too.
Goalie with another kill attempt. Give the point to Bellevue East. If I'm correct there, it looks like Dekrani reached under the net. It might be wrong.
Either under the net or in the net, but either way, that really, really bites. Jocelyn Healy had an amazing dig there.
And that's that defensive effort that both Danielle Goligan as well as Healy bring to this team. As Samantha Laird gets another tip there and another kill.
Number 6, Brooke Martin.
And in comes Brooke Martin. She's a senior on the team. This is her 3rd appearance this season. I believe she also played in the Jamboree against Bennington and the game against Omaha North last Thursday.
A big kill there from Jaden Orange-Smith of the Chieftains, her 2nd kill of the night. As we see Lily Goalie check out of the game for number 10, Nadia Karim. So Bellevue East once again keeping it close here early in the 2nd set, much like they did in the 1st. Let's see if the Warriors can possibly capitalize off of momentum.
Back in for the Warriors, number 9, Lucy Lowe, and serve.
Easy kill for Samantha Laird. It's her 7th of the night, but really you got to give that one to Lucy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Laird was perfectly aggressive on that ball, and she had every right to put that down. But Lucy really got them started with a shank pass from Bell East, and that's important for this Westside team, is knocking the serve receive of Bell East off kilter.
Another miscue for the Chieftains, and Westside will take over. But overall, I mean, talk about, we started off with this game. We saw Westside kind of stumble in defensively, but they've really felt a lot more comfortable here. The Chieftains haven't quite adjusted. Orange-Smith with a long kill attempt. That'll be another point for the Warriors. We'll see if Samantha Laird can maybe get herself on a run.
There you see again kind of that same thing that Lucy Lowe did. You know, an overpass like that can be lethal to this Bell East team. With somebody like Isabella Lamb at the net, she can just reach over and knock that ball down instantly. And that's a kill right there.
And I think that kind of talks about what we were talking about earlier with Coach Corinne Bowers' method, especially with serving. You want to be aggressive, even if it's going to hurt you. And maybe it might have hurt them a little bit there with that ball not being able to go over the net. But I think Bowers is really able and willing to leave those ones out there as long as the team is aggressive.
Well, and not only are they aggressive servers, but they're not afraid to target anybody on this receiving side for Bell East. If there's a receiver that isn't passing well, then they're going to target that person over and over and over again and force Bell East to change something.
That was Simpson's 5th kill of the evening. And the outside hitters have been a big part of this set and really overall this match. Siebler forces a kill, and once again, some miscues in receiving for the Chieftains allow for easy points for the Warriors.
Well, and in that play, we saw just how dynamic Siebler really is. She didn't get the set that she wanted exactly, but she took a really quick approach and put the ball over the net and got a kill out of it.
So we'll take a quick break here on WTV Live. When we come back, more Westside volleyball action here in set 2. It's 14-8 in favor of the Warriors. Second set action here at Westside High School. Warriors took home the first set 25-13, which is a huge first set from Destiny Dom Simpson as well as Kenzie Tikranli. Here in the second set, a 14-8 lead for the Warriors. Dom Simpson unable to get comfortable out of that one, but another reception issue there for the Chieftains. We see it once again, defensive miscues have been a real big inhibitor of Bellevue East's success.
Well, I would like to point out that something that Samantha Laird specifically does really, really well is following that ball all the way to the line when it goes out. That's something that, defensively is super important, because if you don't follow that ball, it's going to land right on the line. You have to follow it to the line every time. Ball off the tape there, so that'll be 4 touches. And, despite that block being there, if Bell East can't make it over the tape, they're never going to get out of this rotation.
A lot of miscommunication even right there, and another block. And it looks like they'll give the block kill to Destiny Dom Simpson. And she continues her strength here in this second set. And an ace there once again. Westside is on a roll. And up 18-8 here in the second set.
Substitution for the Chieftains, number 11, Bellevue, for number 10, Kareem.
Beautiful slide there. Low connects with Madeline Siebler, and the Warriors just continue dominating here in this second set. And Siebler gets another kill from that right side.
Well, and Siebler can nail that cross corner shot, and she can put it so far over that the libero really has no chance of getting there.
Bellevue East finally able to get something to root for. Lily goalie with a kill. She's really been the entire offensive production for the Chieftains today with already 4 kills.
It's 19-9, and Westside just went on a massive serving run, but let's see if they can get it back and really hold it to their goal of keeping Bell East under 10 in each set. Already last set, they let Bell East score 13 points, which is more than they were hoping for.
Yeah, I think especially with Corinne Bowers, I mean, overall with this team, even though we've never really seen a Westside volleyball team really vie for as much as they have this season, they are still hungry with everything that they have. They don't want to be a team that is happy with being top 10, happy with being top 5. They want to be happy with being top 1.
Yeah, they definitely want the state championship this year. I know that was one of their biggest goals coming into this season is they've got the talent to make it there, so why not?
I mean, overall with this team, I mean, we're going to stick here on WTV Live through this Bellevue East timeout. But for the Warriors overall, there's just so much depth with this team. And think about how this team could even do even better once we see Eleanor Brislin as well as Audrey Behrens back on the court.
Well, and Corinne Bowers is hoping that Audrey will be back in October, hopefully in times for districts and even the state tournament. But if this Westside team can stay alive long enough, then they'll be there for sure.
So going over the schedule rest of the next couple weeks for Westside, they'll take an entire week off, no tournament, and they'll go up against Gretna at Gretna next Tuesday and go up against Lincoln Southwest on Thursday. And be back once again the Tuesday afterwards on September 21st. But then one of the biggest invites of the year, the Papillion La Vista invite on September 24th, and it is just top team with top team in that tournament.
Right, of course, and they've seen some of that top 10 team competition already this past weekend, but there's always more to see. One of the teams that they didn't get to play against this past weekend was Papillion La Vista South. They're the state champions from this past year, and they're going to be a tough team to beat this year even.
So Carly Hanna will come in to serve. Westside 4 more points away, and an ace there from Carly Hanna. Hanna, the senior, comes in here early after the timeout, and a beautiful serve down the outer court line.
There is not another setter on the court right now, which means that Carly will be setting, so this is a huge chance for her to show off her hitter-setter connection abilities.
And a big block there, Destiny Simpson and Kenzie Tikrani once again able to have that connection. We talk about the chemistry so much, and they're doing it well here.
Yeah, they really got together there to put a roof over that ball.
Dom Simpson with a huge kill. We'll see if it's a tip, but they'll give it to Bellevue East. Definitely seemed like there was a tip at the net, but nonetheless, the Chieftains will be given the point, still down 13. And right into the game, Lyric Scott able to get an ace. And although it's very unlikely, you might see if Bellevue East definitely needs a run here to take themselves out of a 2-0 hole.
Even though that was a missed serve there, you can tell that they were aiming for Destiny. Like I said earlier, any team is really going to take advantage if you've got a receiver who isn't doing so hot. Destiny shanked that first pass, and automatically she became a target.
So Daniela Goligan will come in to serve here. 1 point away from going up 2-0. A little bit of miscommunication there for Bellevue East. Look up for an opportunity for the Warriors. Looks like Tatum Godinez was too far under the net. And Bellevue East will still be able to stick around here in the second set. Orange Smith will come in for Riley Craig for Bellevue East. Little tip, beautiful tip from Kensington Tekrani, and Westside takes the second set 25-12 and are in the driver's seat to take this one early in straight sets.
Well, and like I said earlier, their goal was to keep them under 10 in each set, and they haven't really been able to do that here, but they have proved a lot tonight. They've had that hitter-setter connection with all three setters they've seen on the court tonight. Madeline Siebler has really set up a couple kills. Lucy Lowe has set Madeline Siebler up a couple times even, and Carly Hanna just came in there, and they were able to finish that set off pretty quickly.
So I think a big thing that we saw from this past weekend, and a little bit goes into today, a big thing with this team, we really saw that hitter-setter connection, a lot of communication, a lot of really good receiving overall in that first Omaha North game, and then here today up against Bellevue East. The biggest question I believe to say is, can that translate when they're going up against the top teams in the state, the Scuts, the Millard Souths, the Papios, the Papio La Vistas? Can they transition?
Well, Corinne really, really likes these low-key games because it gives her a chance to see more of her players on the court and in a game situation. But none of her starters are going to give up that competition for their starting spot. They're all going to keep working, and they're going to keep vying for that position on the court that they want. So they're never going to give up their effort. And I think that even in a top 10 game, they're going to put everything on the court to really keep their spot.
So real quick, before we get into the third set, we'll look at tonight's Dunkin Trivia Question of the game. Westside Volleyball isn't exactly usually a dominant known force in its history here at Westside, but I think Corinne Bowers is definitely looking to make it that one. So with Westside, the Westside Volleyball team has made the state tournament 15 times in the state title game only once. Who did they play in that one state title game? They've never won a state championship. They have one runner-up competition. It was back in the middle 80s. But again, hashtag Dunkin Trivia on Twitter. First correct answer will give you a $10 gift card to any Dunkin Donuts in the Omaha Metro and Nebraska area. So we'll go back to that. So going in here into the third set with this team, I mean, we're seeing even here, this team is having a lot of fun tonight. We've seen this really through all the levels here for Westside. I think there's an emphasis on enjoying the time that you're with this team.
Yes, especially for, they've got so much depth here. And even though these players are constantly competing for a spot on the court, they're not going to give up their team spirit. And they're all going to work together, and they all have fun together. You can tell by the way that they celebrate on the sidelines. They're all happy to be here and are happy to work for the team. Already in the beginning of this third set, you see Carly Hanna out on the court. She'll be starting in the setter position, and Madeline will be playing right side. So up front, right away this first rotation, you've got Tekrani, Nadam Simpson, and Siebler up on the front. And this rotation has been a huge problem for this Bell East team tonight.
I mean, overall, it just shows the offensive ability that this team has. Having Samantha Laird, having Siebler, having Destiny Dom Simpson, having Kensington Tekrani, who was a little bit of an underrated piece to this team last year. It's all of the offensive weapons able to connect in one piece.
Well, I want to give some credit to this team's middle blockers, Kenzie Tekrani and Isabella Lamb. Both of them put in a huge amount of work over this club season and over the summer. And one thing that Corinne is really, really excited for this season is their blocking abilities. Both of them put a ton of work in for blocking this year, and you saw it even there. Blocking is kind of that skill that isn't quite the most fun to train, but it really, really gets a team fired up. And it really makes a difference in the game. Yeah,
I know we talked about that. We also did, with Corinne about how this team has been able to work and how that's really not quite a fully usually teachable skill is the blocking ability. But they really wanted to make that an emphasis this offseason. Of course, to make sure to stay tuned weekly for Warrior Weekly. Your in-depth into everything Westside Athletics. Our first episode will be coming out later this week. We'll be able to talk with senior leader Madeline Siebler, as well as Corinne Bowers and the entire volleyball team of how they look for this season. And as I'm trying to hype up something I'm doing, I'm not able to give off just an amazing play right there defensively for Jocelyn Healy. I mean, what a dig.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Jocelyn's really going to be a key part of this team. She's got, especially when they're playing top 10 teams that have equally good offenses as this Westside team. Jocelyn's really going to have to pull her weight in that back row and keep the ball off the floor.
And right after a great dig, she's able to get a great serve and an ace, and Westside continuing where they left off in the second set, leading here 4-0. And a big block, the middles do it again. We've talked about it so much here tonight. Kensington Tekrani with her third block in the middle.
That's just what Corinne was talking about with you, Jaden, is that block is so much fun to watch. It's so cool to see the team get hyped up over it.
Look to be a double touch there from Bellevue East. And Healy has been pretty comfortable back there serving here in this third set. The Chieftains able to get their first point here in the third set, desperately needing something to go their way to not just avoid getting swept here in 3 sets, but just to keep this one somewhat decent.
Well, and even though Bell East just got that point, Jocelyn Healy went on a huge 6-point run to start the set, and I think it showed her calming personality that Coach Bowers talked about earlier this season. You know, Jocelyn Healy steps back to that line and she takes a deep breath and she puts another ace over the net like it's nothing. She really has that ability to calm the team down.
And I think a big question for this team just going into this season was, especially with 2 new transfers, with a lot of younger, maturing players coming into this team, how could this team mesh? And I think that's really been one of their biggest strong suits here in this match. Simpson with the tip, unable to get it over the net. Bellevue East led on once again, trying to get back here in this third set. A couple of tips and around, and Destiny Dom Simpson gets her 8th kill of the night.
I think even Destiny was a little surprised at that one. I don't think contact was exactly there where they wanted it to be, but got the kill nonetheless, and she's back to serve now.
And a beautiful serve right after a big kill. And talk about that confidence overall, especially we talked about that with Healy overall, able to make a big dig and then able to work on the other end and have a great serve. Is Destiny kind of in that same light, especially when you have those great plays to just make another?
Well, Destiny as well as a couple of the big other players on this team are really, really well-rounded, you know? They're great servers, they're great up at the net, they're really, really just great all around.
So big block there from Tekrani. Unfortunately able to just get out of the far out of bounds line, so Bellevue East will get another point here. These 2 teams have kind of volleyed back and forth as that serve was nowhere near the net. And we'll see a couple of rotations here for the Warriors.
Well, we see Bell East making some of the mistakes that this Westside team made over the weekend. Missed serves, balls going out of bounds on a kill attempt, and Westside's score tonight has really just been proof that they've been able to eliminate those mistakes.
Another defensive mistake there from Bellevue East. Been talking about it all night. The receiving, I think, is an underappreciated art in this game.
Exactly. Well, putting up a good ball, you know, receive balls are categorized into 1s, 2s, and 3s. A 1 pass is one that the setter has to run for. A 2 is one that the setter has to, get a little bit out of her way for, but can still manage to put it up. And a 3 ball is one that lands perfectly on top of the setter's head. I think all in all tonight, this Warrior team has been able to put up a lot of 3-point balls to the setter, and that's what's really allowed them to run their offense. The serve receive is really the key to putting that offense in a good position.
So Siebler able to keep that one alive. Another tip back around. Huge dig once again from Healy. Godinez unable to set that one up for the kill, but we've seen Healy all night tonight just throwing her body around.
Right, that was an amazing, amazing dig. She really, really got down on the floor for that one.
Beautiful set from Madeline Siebler and an even bigger kill from Samantha Laird. The connection is working once again, and talk about the comfort that we've seen Madeline Siebler here just on that set.
Well, even in the set before, it wasn't a perfect set back to Tatum Godinez. It was a little bit far off the net, and Tatum wasn't able to stay behind it like she would have wanted to. But Madeline was able to shake it off and put up a perfect set directly afterwards. And I think that shows her mental toughness, which is a big reason why she was able to take on this position so easily.
I think that's a big thing we talked about with Corinne Bowers overall, with kind of the different people that Corinne has brought into this team to really teach this team about that idea of mental toughness. A lot of people that they've been able to hire and bring in are allowing this team to really not only be the most mentally tough team in the state, not only the most conditioned team in the state, but really the team that's going to give the most fight.
Volleyball, as for a lot of sports, is very mental based. You make an error and you either forget about it or you focus on it. And if you focus on it, then you just keep making errors. And that's something that a lot of the team for this Warriors team is good at, is forgetting those little errors and moving on to the next play. I think it's part of the reason why they work so well together on the team is because they pick each other up and move each other past those errors.
Once again, Destiny Simpson, although not the best pass, or not the best set going to her, able to adjust and make that one look easy. And let's switch gears here to looking specifically at Destiny. This past year over at Bellevue West, she was easily the star player for that team. She carried that team in so many offensive abilities, and especially going up against a lot of the top 10 teams, especially in the state tournament, she was required to do a lot more. And this season, she has a lot of other weapons around her. Do you think that allows her to be more comfortable?
I really do. One outside hitter cannot make a team, and I think that's why their appearance at state last year was so short-lived. This year, Destiny is not the only one supporting this team. She's got talent backing her up in Siebler, in Laird, in Kenzie Tacroni, and having that, offensive line really for this team gets them all fired up. It gets Destiny fired up, and it gives her confidence that even if she isn't on for a certain game, there are plenty of people backing her up who can support the team themselves.
So 2 of their next 3 matches will be up against non-top 10 teams. The biggest one they're going to look at is the away matchup on September 9th up against Lincoln Southwest. Again, it was a really different look for this Westside team this past week, and really different than what we saw here today. It was a lot more uncomfortable. There was a lot less communication. I didn't quite see really kind of how we've seen just now. A lot of fun, just bouncing back and forth and having a good time. How can this team really do that up against top 10 teams?
Well, I don't. Whoa.
Looks like a double touch there. Not sure who was on. Might have been Isabella Lamb. But either way, Bellevue East will take the point. But yeah, going against those top 10 teams, how can this Westside team really adjust and make sure that they stay in that mindset throughout those games, especially when they're dealing with some struggles?
Well, it's going to be just what you said. It's going to be an adjustment. They're really going to have to lean on each other and pick each other up. And they're going to have to communicate a lot. It's going to take a lot of trial and error, figuring out what works and what doesn't. They're going to be forced to try new things and to move around a little bit and do some things that they're not quite comfortable with. But adjusting and making those adaptations is what's going to carry them to the state championship.
So looking at this Bellevue East team overall, I mean, we've seen really kind of a difference of what we saw a little bit this past weekend with Westside. Is just a lot of defensive miscues, a lot of lack of communication, a lot of truly what should be simple and basic plays just not being able to be made.
Right, and we haven't really seen their ability to fix those mistakes at all. A lot of the players on their team, I think, are getting in their heads a little bit and are compounding those mistakes, and that can really be detrimental to a team.
So once again, Madeline Siebler with another kill. She continues her amazing night, and looking at her time 42 player of the game, there's a lot of options to go here tonight. Daniela Golgan able to keep that one alive. What a defensive possession there for the Warriors. Little tip, and they'll give it to the Warriors. Looked like Reamer touched the net coming in. And Daniela Golgan, the defensive specialist, shows why she's in that position, keeping that ball anywhere even within the court.
Well, a huge thing about the defense is that they really have got to be able to chase those balls down and put them up and make it playable.
I don't know what to say other than wow.
Well,
that pure power, pure athleticism, pure just strength from Destiny Dom Simpson right there. I don't know even truly even some college athletes that could even go up against that kill there.
Well, and a huge thing about Destiny is her ability to get on top of the ball and nail it to the floor. She buries that ball down the line, and it's untouchable.
And Westside just continues to roll. It seems like every little thing continues to go their way here in this one. And they're 5 points away from ending this in straight sets. Another great defensive ability from Jocelyn Healy, able to keep this one in there. And then a block defensively for Destiny Dom Simpson. I mean, every single time we've seen some kind of block or big play at the net, it's been those two.
Yeah, well, both of them have really got that ability to stay up at the net and to hang with the hitters that they're supposed to be defending.
Bellevue East finally able to get back on the scoreboard here after a huge run for the Warriors.
Takrani just a little bit late there on the block. You could tell it went over her hands as she was reaching to get in front of it. She wasn't fast enough that time, but Westside's going to get the serve back soon here.
Long tip there, a little bit of miscommunications by the two referees, but they'll give it to Bellevue East.
It's a back row attack there from Carly Hanna. That's always one of the dangers of having your setter playing in the back row, is that if they send a ball over the net and they're in front of the 10-foot line, then that's considered a back row attack.
Once again, a long kill attempt from Lily Gully, her fourth miscue offensively, and it's really just been that kind of night for the Chieftains. .3 points away from ending this one in straight sets for the Warriors. Siebler will serve. Another long reception, and Bellevue East barely able to get it back over. Beautiful set and beautiful kill by Kenzie Takrani. Takrani overall, I mean, it's just been so dominant between Destiny, who's been that outside hitter who just shows so much athleticism and prowess, and then Kenzie in the middle, who is just the same way but has a different skill set.
Well, I think Destiny and Kenzie really bring out the best in each other. They complement each other so well.
Once again, beautiful set and a beautiful kill. Destiny Dom Simpson makes that one undoubted. And Westside is 1 point away from ending this one in straight sets. Home opener Siebler will serve. He puts that one in the net. And Westside 25-13, 25-14, and 25-10. Westside wins the season home opener here in a big fashion.
Well, and I think this game was really their opportunity, especially considering this past weekend, to show off what they're capable of. Corinne was able to play a lot of her non-starters, and we saw how well-rounded this team really is. And we're going to get a couple words in with our Time 42 player of the game.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll give you that Time 42 player of the game. We'll take a quick break and then come back for the KB post-game show. A lot of talk with Corinne Bowers about this, how this team is going. A little bit of a clue to our Dunkin Trivia Question of the game. And they're a Time 42 player able to be announced in just a moment. So back here for the KB post-game show, I'm alongside our Time 42 player of the game, Kensington DeCrony, as well as varsity head coach Corinne Bowers. I'll start with Corinne. This past weekend, I think we talked, the biggest thing about this team was really about that communication. Again, your biggest goal this past weekend was to get into that championship bracket, but you guys didn't really feel fully satisfied with what you did. How are you guys able to come in tonight and really have that big anger mentality?
Yesterday at practice, we have our growth and performance coach, Bill Ekstrom, came up from Lincoln, and we sat down with the coach, or the girls and the other coaches, and we just really talked about what did we feel like at the end of that tournament. Some of the things that we learned really were we have to be mentally more strong. We have to control above our shoulders, and so that's one thing we took into tonight was continue to have fun. Don't forget about that. We love volleyball, but also control our side. And so we'll continue to keep emphasizing that in practice, but it's really play our game because there's no doubt in my mind we have the athletes to do so. We just got to put it all together.
So talking about the athletes on this team, I mean, there's so much depth. There's so much talent with this team. I mean, we talked earlier. I mean, you had told me that this is one of the biggest teams and the best teams that you've ever had. How has this chemistry been?
Oh, it's awesome. You know, one thing I really wanted going into the season was team first. That's the most important part of this is if you don't have a team, you're not gonna win games. But really, it's up to the girls. They bring it on the court. They bring it off the court. They are stuck together, and I've never seen or coached a team that has been so close. And it's been actually amazing to watch. Anytime we have a game day, I just really can't wait to get out of work so I can come watch them play. I enjoy watching them play, and I'm a coach. So, we'll be back in the gym tomorrow working hard. We're off. We got some time to really phone in on some of these things that we need to focus on. So I'm looking forward to the next competition. We'll prepare and respect our opponent accordingly.
So going forward, I mean, the biggest thing, which really Westside Volleyball hasn't really been used to, is really being in that upper echelon of teams, with those top Class A teams. We saw you guys go up against Scott. You guys go up against Papio La Vista this past weekend, as well as Millard South, 3 top 10 teams within the state. Was it a little bit of a wake-up call? Was it a little bit of an exception to where you guys really feel you're at?
Yeah, you know what? One thing that we're really going to emphasize in practices is putting it all out in the court. We're going to work on a lot of conditioning, a lot of mental focus during practice. We feel like at the Bellevue West invite, we made it to the big gym, and that's always going to be our goal. But how are we going to finish, and how are we going to walk out of that gym knowing that we gave 100%? And we all agreed that when we walked out of there, we weren't satisfied. And so we need to make those changes on the court in practice to resemble our gameplay, basically.
All right, so I'll go to Kenzie next. I mean, here tonight, I think the biggest thing that I really took away, and I think a lot of people here took away, is that connection that you have with Destiny Dom Simpson, especially up at the net. How has that been able to grow?
Yeah, so we play club together, and that's just been helping us know each other on the personal level. And we take a lot of the same classes, which helps us get to know each other off the court, which is a huge thing that we've been working on lately, is just getting to know each other, becoming a family. She's like my sister. We pretend we're twins sometimes. It's an awesome bond we have.
So kind of overall with this team, I mean, there's so much talent. There's so much just prowess overall. I mean, personally, if I'm on the other end, I'm scared to go up against not just you, not just Destiny, not just Madeline, but also Samantha. I mean, you have top 4 caliber players that anybody defensively is going to be scared of. How can you mix that? How can you guys work with a lot of very alpha, I don't want to say mentalities, but a lot of alpha abilities that you have on this team?
Yeah, so we did a thing at our retreat, and we just kind of found how we lead. I'm very lead by example. Sam's very calm all the time, and we really focus on our strengths. So we're not in the huddles all screaming at the same time, because I know how overwhelming that can be. So we just all focus on what is our strength, staying at our number of calmness, and all putting it together to work cohesively.
So finally, before we wrap this one up, I think someone who's a little bit underrated, really just not just tonight, but overall with this team, Jocelyn Healy. I mean, all night throwing her body around at any ball whatsoever. And I think another thing that I've been learning about this team and that I've been talking to you guys about this team is how much of a calming presence she is. Yeah. How does that help this team?
Yeah. I know it helps me crazy, helps our front row crazy. She'll come into the huddle, and all you see is just her eyes, and it's just like, you're good. It's like a calming presence. She's always there, someone to lean on. She can always answer your questions if you need it. She sees everything on the court. She's always on the court. She's a great player. It's her birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday, Jocelyn. But she's awesome. I love her. All
right, great. Thank you guys so much for your time. Yeah, so that's going to wrap this one up here on WTV Live. Next week, this upcoming Friday, we'll see an Omaha North football game, and we'll have more volleyball coming up next week. In the next couple of weeks, I know a Papio South game, a little bit of some other games. It's going to be fun. A really big season this year. You guys got to watch with this volleyball team. Fun to watch, more games to see. Thank you so much. My name is Jaden Taylor, alongside me tonight, Tallie, Pease, and the entire WTV Live crew. We'll be back on Friday.